Akiachuk, Alaska, an Eskimo village located on the banks of the Kuskokwim River in the remote wilderness of southwestern Alaska's tundra country. Akiachuk is one of 30 or more riverbank and seacoast villages in this area. The peoples of this region make up the largest Eskimo group in all of Alaska, which speak a common language and have a common culture. The demands of life here are rigorous. During the winter, time is primarily spent hunting, making occasional trips for fuel, and daily trips to the river for water. Life in this village calls for very little use of English language. Yet, English is present in some ways in the lives of the people.
Tonight and Saturday, guys. Expecting a high today in the mid-20s, low tonight near 5. The high 4-2 Mario, 20.
Hello, Johnny.
Although many of them can understand and speak English, there is a growing need for them to read and write it as well.
It's a message from Anchorage. The doctor's requested permission to perform a tonsillectomy on your daughter, and you have to answer him. Okay? Good. We'll see you then.
Not only must they know English as a second language, they must learn a great many other things, including mathematics and skills in many technical fields. But underlying these needs is a natural preference for doing things in the old way. Most people in the village recognize this and agree that the place to start on the problem is with the young children in school. The problem is, they must learn new basic concepts and a new language at the same time. There is a growing acceptance that the way to start is by using the language of the home at school. For years, from the moment the children started school as first graders, the language of the school has been English exclusively. Now, a special program is underway at Akiachuk and some neighboring villages, where the children are learning English as a second language. They They spend most of their time learning in Eskimo. They learn social studies and science. They learn to do arithmetic, and they learn to read and write, all in Eskimo. Operated by the Bureau of Indian Affairs and supported through local incentive and federal funds, the program is showing great success. It has shown that school, conducted in the language of the home, provides the chance to build upon the language skills which have already been established. With a good start in language skills, children experience great success in learning all their school subjects.
At the school board meeting today, we want to tell you how the bilingual program is progressing, and we want to find out a little bit from you about what the people in the village and the rest of you think about it.
Meeting asumti kan utaka kan utuga matum kaisen litnaut man yuxn litnaut jitnik kwan kut tlaqala yokuchinik taring yukla
Yutlumani tamakam ngasi katama.
He said this program is good.
I'm glad to hear that, and that the people think it is, because we've found out from our evaluation so far this year that the children really are doing much better in school.
At the recent parent-teacher conference, the parents were especially glad to hear how well their children were doing in English, because they realized how important a good command of English language is. And it was gratifying to me to watch the expression on their faces as they listened to their children read in their own language. They were so proud.
I think that the reason that we're able to do this and that the program's gone that well this year is that the three ingredients that were necessary for it were there. And the important one was that we had the Eskimo teacher, that the Eskimo language is now written down in a standard way, and that we had materials produced in Eskimo for the children.
An important point, I think, is that the children are not frustrated by trying to learn in a foreign language, which English is to them. Rather, they're learning in a language that they can understand, a language that they can communicate in, a language that they can think in. And as a result, I think that they're happier and more confident in school. Don't you, Marianne?
I think they're happier in school, and they are more anxious to going to school, and they're not scared to say in Eskimo what they want to say in the classrooms.
Such a program cannot be put into effect overnight. Much planning is needed. This language learning problem is like a puzzle with many parts. All the parts must be present and must fit together before the puzzle can be solved.
Due to the lead time factor, we're going to have...
First, the exact nature of the problem had to be clarified and an approach selected. Of great importance to any such undertaking, new funding had to be found and arranged.
One possibility is the Title VII.
One of the biggest pieces to the puzzle was obtaining materials written in the Eskimo language of the region. These did not exist. In fact, no completely satisfactory written form of the language was available until just recently. Linguists at the University of Alaska have been working on the problem for several years and completed an improved written form of the Southwestern Alaska Eskimo language in 1969.
And ah, e, and oo, respectively, in their long forms. Okay, would you care to pronounce these two words now for review purposes?
Ata, ata.
Eh. And would you like to pronounce these two, Mary?
Ichta, ichta.
Eh, asichpa. And here we
It is the product of several years of hard work and is built upon the experience of earlier versions.
Now let's move over to our fourth vowel in Eskimo, which is written just like the English E, but is not pronounced like the English E. We always pronounce it as a short sound. Can you think of
A key element was finding teachers and aides who were bilingual. They would need to know how to speak, read, and write in both English and Eskimo. They would also need to know fundamentals of teaching. None were available, so candidates were recruited in the villages where the program was to be tested. They were people who had learned to speak and read English in the village school. They could work well with children and wanted to be teachers.
We spent the summer at the University of Alaska learning to read and write the new Eskimo writing system. And it wasn't hard for me to start reading the new way, but it was hard for me to do the writing of it because some were changed, like double letters were changed to one letter. But I learned it fairly well by the end of the summer.
How about
Pretty good margins on the left and right. Remember, the kids are going to be reading this from a distance. This means just give your space. Molly?
In addition to learning the new written language, the new teachers needed instruction in teaching methods. Experienced teachers and supervisors from the area helped on this problem, giving them training in the use of curriculum materials and classroom instruction.
And they're going to be learning the form of writing from this. You're indenting. How about an arrow to remind us to indent the first?
Meanwhile, the team of linguists at the University of Alaska had been expanded into a reading materials development group. They were busy translating stories into the Eskimo language, illustrating them, and writing new stories. In some cases, the stories were traditional ones, being written down for the first time. As the program in the villages has gotten underway, the materials developed at the university have been field tested in the classrooms. After testing, the materials are sent back to the university for revision and final publication. The more formal materials must be supplemented with many locally made instructional materials. They are developed by the bilingual teachers and aides with the assistance of the supervisory English teachers. The program started with the beginning of the school year in 3 villages. 2 Eskimo bilingual persons, one an associate teacher and the other an aide, were assigned to each classroom. The Eskimo language is used during the entire school day except for 2 language lessons in English. After the 4th grade, hopes are that the children will have progressed well enough with English for it to carry the burden of instruction, except for Eskimo language arts.
Button ak chicken ha nakantang ba chemi iman tungo ni magchok piluki. Kastuluci. Itu. Jadi, kapsulni. Kalau nak kangkik kami buat naik tu. Kek mi. Buat kangkik kek mai tu buat mi.
Most of us take for granted the idea that we will speak the language of our home when we go to school. This idea is new to these children, and they thrive on it.
Chagni maluni ignilit na yuichi. Agayim samitu. Makin. Chani milit na lochste igni. Yun ay pirin sa na pinairin sa magunilit.
What's Edward?
He's a teacher.
Good. Say he's a teacher.
He's a teacher.
What's he doing?
He's looking at a book.
Good. He's looking at a book.
He's looking at a book.
All of you. He's looking at a book.
He's looking at a book.
Good. What's Lena? She's a nurse.
She's a nurse.
What's Lena?
She's a nurse.
Good. She's a nurse.
She's a nurse.
She's a nurse.
She's a nurse.
What's she doing?
She's giving a shot.
Good. Say again. She's giving a shot.
She's giving a shot.
Martha, what's Lena doing?
She's giving a shot.
Good. What's Joseph?
He's a doctor.
Good. He's a doctor. Everyone, he's a doctor.
He's a doctor.
What's he doing?
He's listening to Ness Hart.
Good. What's Junior? During this time, I teach English as a second language to the children. I teach 2 30-minute lessons each day. English to these children is really a foreign language, so having to learn everything in English was very frustrating for them.
Was us talking on the telephone.
I feel they learn more in the 2 short periods than they did when they heard English all day. I have them do nothing in reading or writing until the 2nd year. During the 1st year, they learn to speak conversational English. I build upon the vocabulary and concepts which the children learn in Eskimo.
Lena's combing her hair. English drinking water. Patrick saluting the flag.
That's a smelt.
That's a smell.
Good. What kind of fish is this?
That's a white fish.
Good. What kind of fish is this?
That's a black fish.
Good. What kind of fish is this?
That's a white fish.
Good.
Unachawa. Dakaya. Nani bilachta. Kusko fami kalpit lachtat.
Malakan.
Dol kalpiluki. Ulikluki. Unachawa.
The bilingual children seem to enjoy the school here and they get along with their teachers very well. And it took a little while for us to get used to the idea of speaking Eskimo language at school, but we like it now.
Manikinak. Nakun pitlatat manikanak. Manakun taluyakun. Kinitaiga. Nakchigun. Nakwitak. Aispefani.
At the time these pictures were taken, the bilingual program was still very new, too soon for definite results. Everyone involved will be watching the progress carefully. They have noted some important changes already. The children do succeed well under this system of instruction. A healthy child must feel worthwhile and confident in his own abilities. Success at school is very important in helping him to feel that way. This program, through its contribution to improved educational opportunities and strengthened cultural identity, can help the Eskimo people to assume their role in modern society. It will not only benefit them, but will enrich the lives of peoples of all cultures.
Akaki Dan ayata Jajin baknak lakami Abkaki sam kulini